I'm His Holiness Pope Dick Smash 5000 the First.
I'm Justice Burkett.
And today we're here to find out if Final Destination 5 is the greatest movie ever made.
Death doesn't like to be cheated.
Welcome to the greatest movie ever made, the show where we watch a movie and tell you if it is the greatest movie ever made.
Congratulations on your successful election by conclave. Your Holiness Dick Smash. Did I get that right?
Dick Smash 5000.
Dick Smash 5000.
First. Yes. And peace be with you.
And also with you.
Yes, if you're hearing this, it's true. You've probably seen the news by now. The smoke from the Sistine Chapel has turned from black to white, and I have emerged.
David is Pope.
The Supreme Pontiff.
He has selected his papal name. It would be funny if a guy got elected Pope and he was like, there's been so many Benedicts, there's been so many Innocents or whatever. I'm going to choose something really out of left field, like Dick Smash 5000. Because theoretically, they can pick whatever name they want. I'm sure there's rules. I'm sure you can't be Pope Dick Smash.
It'd
be funny if one of them was like, my Pope name is Jeff. I'm just going to be Pope Jeff.
Well, I mean,
or like Pope Bob.
I am Pope Dick Smash 5000.
Right. Sorry, I meant prior to your papacy, I guess that wouldn't have been a thing.
You know, there were some eyebrows raised. Some of the cardinals were like a little concerned, but then I did turn to them and be like, well, I'm Pope. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So fuck
you.
We
were talking about how like any Catholic man can theoretically be a candidate for the papacy. Any like practicing Catholic man, right?
Right.
So I told you it would be a funny bit if you ran for Pope, and I guess that turned out pretty well for you.
Yeah, it turned out it wasn't a bit. It was 100% serious.
It was totally real.
I campaigned really, really hard, and God has spoken.
Yeah.
I am
through the conclave,
through the conclave, through the cardinals, and now I am God's chosen messenger.
All right. Well, Your Eminence.
So this will be the last episode of the podcast because I have to go do Pope.
He's gonna be busy.
I have a lot of
being the Pope.
Pope-related things coming up.
Yes.
There's a lot of poping going on.
Yeah.
So
that's fine. That this is gonna be the last episode of the podcast because in many ways is this movie not the perfect one to end on, the final destination, in fact, of our podcast. You need to finish introducing the show.
Yes, the greatest movie ever made, a movie that is so thoroughly entertaining and compelling it that while you're watching it, it's the only thing that matters in the world, except for, of course, my ascendancy to the papacy.
Right, which is more important than the podcast, and therefore, maybe I'll get a different co-host and just keep it going without you.
You could.
It'd be funny if, like, because obviously you are the actual Pope, and everything that we're saying is real and not a bit. But it would be funny in a world in which this was a bit if next week you just showed up and played a different character and just pretended you were a different guy for like the foreseeable future of this podcast, because David's off being Pope. So then if like you showed up and we're just like somebody else, like if it was just me and H.R. Giger, I guess, for the rest of
I think the moment that we try to establish any sort of canonical version of events to our lore, then it stops being funny.
Yeah, you can't force that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should probably stop talking about it.
Yeah. Amen.
How are you, David?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've had a good week and had a good workout yesterday with the boys. And feeling good. No real media to recommend, I think. Like Bon Scott era AC/DC. Because the credit song to this movie is "If You Want Blood, You've Got It."
Yeah.
From Bon Scott era AC/DC, and that's a very underrated, good AC/DC song.
Yep. Good one to go out on in this movie. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I am tired because I have been busy.
Yes, I am also down with the eepiness.
Dear listener, I assure you that was way funnier when you could see David's face. Yes, we're both tired. I'm good. The thing that I have to recommend is there's a noise rock band that I found or was recommended to me by the algorithm called Slow Hole. And I would like to recommend Slow Hole's album Slow Hole. It has a picture it has a still from the movie Possession as the cover art, and it's like sort of Possession inspired. Like some of the songs use samples from the movie and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like really abrasive and kind of like post-hardcore. Good shit. I also would like to recommend a hardcore album by the band Murph, also called Murph. And this is a RoboCop concept hardcore album.
Oh, that's rad.
With song titles such as I'd Buy That for $1, Bitches Leave, Buddy, I Think You're Slime, Your Move Creep, etc. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a hardcore album where the songs are about the movie RoboCop. So listen to Murph by Murph and Slow Hole by Slow Hole. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Final Destination. The fifth one of those is the movie that we're talking about today. David, what is your history with the Final Destination horror franchise?
So this is my third Final Destination film. My first time watching it. I mean, long story short, I watched the third one a few years ago with my roommate, I think on Halloween. I don't know whose idea it was, but we were like not doing anything. Let's put on a scary movie. And
this is a classic throw one on a Halloween franchise.
Yeah. And the third one was fine. I don't remember much from it.
Yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in that one.
Yes.
She's a good actor.
She's really good in it. I just rewatched it and she I just rewatched all
Yes,
of
you
them.
just watched.
Or no, sorry, no, I didn't rewatch 3. I watched 3 for the first time. I had never seen 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I watched all of them.
But yeah, you just watched all of them yesterday.
That's right. I watched every Final Destination movie.
Other than the first one, which we watched relatively recently.
Correct.
After recording one night. And I mean, they're not good movies.
No. No.
And spoilers, this one isn't a good movie either.
No.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have as strong of an attachment to them as other people just because I haven't seen them that much, but like when they were coming out, I remember going online and looking up some of the death compilations.
Of course. This movie saves you the trouble and just has one at the end of the movie.
It really does. It's like,
it's like, oh no, you don't need to go to YouTube.
I did think about watching all of them for about 5 seconds, and I was like, no, it's way funnier if I've only seen the odd numbered entries.
Yeah.
And then when you brought up that you were doing it, I thought about it again, and I was like, no, I don't fucking care. And then I got to the end of the movie, it's like, oh, that's the rest of the franchise right there.
Yeah, you kind of didn't need to, because the fifth one is basically like, hey, here's a supercut of all the best moments from the other ones, right before the credits. They do the Furiosa thing in this movie, where like the end of the movie just shows clips from another movie, but unlike in Furiosa, where it ends and it's footage from a better movie, 5 ends and it's footage from movies that are about equal in quality, so it feels less offensive.
Right. 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 Yeah, I mean, I think there always should be a Final Destination.
Yeah.
And I think what I mean by that is there always should be a horror franchise that comes out semi-regularly, that's designed to be seen in a theater with a bunch of people, where you can all just shut your brain off, have fun, and watch a bunch of people get killed.
Yeah.
For some people, that's Saw. That was certainly Saw for a little while. I think Final Destination sort of falls into that.
And may I just say, I am very much here for the trash horror renaissance that we seem to be experiencing. Because the reason that we're doing this episode is Final Destination Bloodlines is coming out.
Yeah.
And then also recently the trailer dropped for I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot. And like if they want to fucking just keep doing this shit, if we want to like have like a Saw movie and a Final Destination movie and an I Know What You Did Last Summer movie and a Scream movie all coming out at the same, like one a year, like it was in like the aughts, that's totally cool with me. Like, let's just keep this shit going, man.
Yeah. And that first one, my thing with that first movie is it's trying to be a real movie a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate about 5 is that at this point they've made fucking 5 of these, so you know what you're getting and you get exactly what you expected.
And any explanation that they do for anything is just like Cliff's Notes version.
Yeah,
it's basically like, okay, you've probably seen one of these before, but in case you haven't, here are 2 sentences that describe what's going on.
Right, and that 2000 late 90s early 2000s vibe that Final Destination has, where it's like now we're a few iterations removed from Scream and The Craft and stuff like that, and we're just kind of doing the thing that you expect from that era of horror. Now it's just like it's become refined and it has aged like a fine wine, and now we're just it's just the vibe that this movie's going with. And spoilers, I guess, because this is technically a prequel.
Yes.
It does a really good job fitting into this weird middle ground where it's like, I think if I saw this in 2011, it would not register to me as taking place in the year 2000 before the first one.
Right.
Which, oh, by the way, that first one getting a major disastrous plane crash on film right before 9/11.
Just sneaking it in under the wire, dog. And then after that, it's like, no, we can't touch that shit for 10 more years. This franchise did a plane crash in the first one. 9/11 happened the year after, and then it was a decade before they felt comfortable tackling another plane accident.
I think the solution.
Although in the third one there is a hilarious thing where like photos are predicting people's deaths, and
I remember that from the third one.
And when they're establishing that device,
yeah.
The 2 examples that they use to be like, oh, there's precedent for this could be grounded in some kind of reality, is the famous photo of Abe Lincoln where there's like the shadow going into his head at the exact trajectory as the bullet, which is like a real thing. And then the other one they use is like, look at this picture of the Twin Towers with with a shadow of a plane on it. And that movie came out in 2006, and I was like, we might be dealing with a little too soon territory here. Final Destination 3.
Yeah, there's a terrorism reference in this one where someone was like, well, what? I think it's probably about the bridge collapse.
It's when the cop is grilling the main guy.
Yeah. And they bring up terrorism. I'm like, you guys are a few months early on that one.
Well, there had already been the first World Trade Center bombing.
Sure, but I don't think it was in like, I don't know.
Yeah, Oklahoma City had happened. People knew about terrorism.
Yeah. they were about to get reminded of it in a big way.
Terrorism wasn't a dominating thing in every aspect of their lives like it was about to be. But people knew what it was, I guess. Yeah.
I think the code for making this franchise work is, like I've said for the Crash cinematic universe, is like we just need to set things in like different, or like Predator, like set things in different historical time periods.
Yeah.
Change up the disaster at the beginning. I mean, like, oh dear, the Zeppelin's going to crash.
Dude, if there was like a Hindenburg Final Destination and some dude gets a premonition to be like, I'm not getting on that blimp, darling. I've seen the future.
One of them just gets tuberculosis, and that's how death kills him. Just dying slowly of TB throughout the course of the film.
Or gangrene or some shit. Just like, oh no, the antibiotics won't be here for 6 months.
And then Bloodlines is coming out. I saw the trailer for it, and there's a part where, because they're doing this new thing where it's targeting members of a family,
right?
Because
they weren't supposed to be born because their parents should have died in some disaster.
Yeah, it was like it's like set in the 50s or something, and it looks like there's like a Seattle Space Needle sort of restaurant thing that like the building collapses, and so she saves everyone, and so her descendants are all cursed with it. I think the twist that they're going to do, because she has she has a little Pepe Sylvia room with all these with a bunch of
Yeah,
shit connected, and
right.
and there's
The
some
red string. And
there's some stuff that looks like it's connected to the past movies. I think what they're going to do is that all the characters in the rest of the series are descendants of people that survived the building collapse.
Yeah, you are totally right. That is exactly what the twist of that movie is going to be. That
like,
movie that has
that's
not
the
come
thing
out
that
yet.
set it all in motion.
You're completely right. 1000%. That's what they're going to do. Yeah, I would love if they messed with just like more like time periods and locations and shit. Like, give me like, I don't know, give me like fucking ancient Rome Final Destination.
A bolt on a chariot wheel comes loose.
Yeah. Or like sailing to the New World Final Destination where like a boat sinks or some shit. all these people in like I don't know, fucking know, like a 17th century Spain didn't get on a boat and are now cursed.
Pompeii or something.
Yeah, Pompeii. Yeah, some ancient Greek guy being like, the mountain's gonna explode, we gotta get out of here.
Shut the fuck up. And then they get reduced to ash.
Someone chokes on like a date pit or some shit. Trips over their toga and I don't know, goes falling into a pit of lions or some shit, whatever was going on in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's your past with the franchise?
Yeah, so the first Final Destination movie I ever saw was The Final Destination, which is the dumbest fucking title in this franchise, because there's the first one, which is Final Destination, and then there's 2 and 3, and then 4 is The Final Destination, and then there's Final Destination 5. It makes no fucking sense.
Well, that was the period of time when we were using the to title sequels.
Yeah.
Like there's or it was like because there's the first Fast and the Furious movie is called The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And then one of the sequels is just called Fast and Furious.
Which is
like
that's
we just got
horseshit.
rid of the.
We can't be doing that.
There's Shane Black's The Predator.
Yeah. I mean, I already hate when they like name a sequel or a reboot the exact same title as the first one.
Right.
Like, I wish we weren't doing that. But it's even more egregious to me when an installment in a franchise just doesn't have the number on it. This is also a gripe that Steve Sadak from the We Hate Movies podcast has, and I very much share it, where I'm like, if it's the 4th one, you gotta give me a 4 in there somewhere, dog. But anyway, that's the first one I saw. I saw it in theaters. It was one of the first R-rated movies I saw in theaters because it came out like when I was like 16, I think. I remember enjoying it, which, you know, I was a dumb kid. As we already talked about, I watched all of these movies leading up to this record. The 4th one is absolute fucking ass. That movie is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The 4th Final Destination movie is dog shit. But I remember liking it when I was a dumb 16-year-old. I also saw the 5th one in theaters, this one, when it came out.
Did you see it in 3D? Because this was the 3D one.
I did, yeah. 4 is also in 3D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think maybe even 3 was in 3D. But yeah, I saw it in 3D. And I remember when I saw this one in theaters with like my high school friend, having an absolute blast in the theater. This was a phenomenal theater experience because, like you were saying, that's kind of what these movies are built for, right? It's like, if you see it on a big screen with a crowd, it doesn't matter that the movie is like not good. You're gonna have a good time because people are gonna be screaming, people are gonna be hollering, you know, during the like tension wind up bits before each of the kills. There's gonna be people who are like making little scared noises and covering their eyes and shit. It's a fun time, you know? And yeah, I remember loving this one when I saw it in the theaters. Like, to the point where, like, to my 17, 18-year-old brain, when I saw this, I was like, is this the best horror movie ever made? And then again, I was a moron who didn't know anything about movies then. And so I feel maybe...
you know, I'm sure there's some horror guy on TikTok with like a physical media collection and is recommending obscure shit on Tubi who's like, nah, Final Destination 5 is peak.
Right. That guy's like, oh, The Exorcist is boring. Final Destination 5 is where it's at. But yeah, so I went into this one with that memory of it, but I hadn't watched it since the theater. As for the rest of the franchise, the only one I hadn't seen until I watched them all in the lead up for this episode was the third one.
Okay.
And I had caught 1 and 2 like a few years back when I was kind of going through my like horror essentials watch when I first got really deep into the genre, and I've talked about that on the show before. And I like all of these movies except for the fourth one. I think for me, my relationship to this franchise, especially after watching them all in the lead up for this record, is that I think this is one of our greatest American 3-star franchises. It's like these are, with the exception of the fourth one, which is an absolute piece of donkey shit. The remaining 4 entries in this franchise that currently exist, and hopefully Bloodlines as well, are just like shit that you can throw on and just have a ball. And like, it's not good, but it's also not bad. You know, it's this is one of the best okay franchises that exists.
It's one of the most watchable
exactly
franchises ever.
Yes.
No, I agree with that. Based on what I've seen and what I remember of 3, I kind of respect that. I do respect that every time you go into a Final Destination movie, you know what you're getting.
Oh yeah.
In the same way that you know what you're getting with the Saw movie, I just think that for me personally, there is a much wider gulf in between like the bad Saw movies and the good Saw movies.
Right.
And even the good ones don't get much higher than like a 3.
Yeah.
But the dregs of the Saw franchise are like really, really difficult for me to get through.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a way that what I remember of Final Destination 3 and watching the first one and this one, that's not the case. Like these are all like have friends over, you can put on Final Destination and shut your brain off and have fun.
Yeah. You could probably even do that with the fourth one, but it'll be like a laugh at the movie because it's so bad situation. Which I feel like even with the Saw franchise, you maybe can't really do in the same way because the Saw franchise is so self-serious.
Yeah.
And so it feels like it's less of a fun like party movie than these are.
It's harder to have, as someone I haven't seen all the Saw movies, but I've seen more than you have.
Yeah.
It's harder to find those so bad it's good moments in Saw.
Right. Right. Because when they're bad, they're just kind of bad in like an uninteresting, morose way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas this, at least when it's bad in a way where you're like, that's fucking insane and stupid. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about my feelings on the franchise for now. But when we get to our verdicts, I will give you my ranking now that I've seen all of these. Yeah. But I don't want to spoil my feelings on this entry by doing it now. So, yeah.
So, banger title sequence?
Yes! That was my first note, too. I was like, pretty rad opening credits.
With these panels of glass with the credits on them being broken by various objects, some of which are references to the series, like you get the log from 2.
Yes,
and
I will say, so almost all of them are references to one of the entries in previous entries in the series.
Yeah.
I will say one of the most lame ones, because some of them are cool, right? Where like the log is flying at you, or like the nails from the nail gun in the third one. And then there's like the coffee cup. And I'm like, that one just doesn't have the same impact when a coffee cup comes smashing through the glass as like a bunch of nails or something. There's a few of them that are a little lame. The coffee cup is the thing that starts the car accident in the second one. So I'm assuming that's what the reference is. But I was like, you maybe could have left the coffee cup out.
I remember a couple lame ones, but I can't exactly remember what they are.
Yeah.
And also, I gotta give this movie credit for having like a dollar store in the Mouth of Madness main theme.
Yes. Yeah.
Where
no, it's like a little bit like industrial metal kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. This opening sequence I think fucks. And like the visuals that we're talking about, it looks like they're done at least partially, maybe entirely practically.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely at least have glass panes with the credits written on them that are shattering.
Yeah.
And if there is some digital effect in there, I mean, there very well could be. But it does seem like that it is at least partially practical, which I appreciate.
I also like the like speeding up and slowing down effect that they keep doing.
Yeah.
And there's like points at which like the whole screen like explodes in fire during these opening credits and shit. And it's like, yeah, it's fun. And you can also tell that they were having fun filming this title sequence for 3D too.
Right.
But yeah.
So we open on a business trip. It's like a business retreat that this upstate New York
This
factory,
upstate New York paper company.
paper company.
It's they specifically say it's a paper company at one point in the movie, which leads me to an observation that I had watching this. I think they're intentionally riffing on The Office because it's 2011. The Office was the biggest thing in the entire world, right? There's like the guy who plays Todd Packer in The Office, like Michael Scott's boss, is the boss in this movie. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's an intentional.
Okay.
I think they're winking at like NBC's The Office.
Okay, I haven't seen enough of The Office,
Yeah.
but like David Koechner's obviously like an actor who I associate with shows like that and has acted with Steve Carell. I didn't know he was actually in The Office.
He's in The Office.
But him
playing a very similar character.
like his casting definitely struck me as like, okay, this movie knows what it's doing.
Yeah, and it because it's a paper company and there's like the guys who work in the warehouse and the people who work in the office, and our two main characters are salesmen at a paper company. I'm like, this movie is intentionally being like, let's just do a horror riff on The Office as like our premise. So yeah, they're going on a team building retreat. In this opening, we meet classic Final Destination style. Before we get the premonition for the disaster that's going to happen, we get 2 seconds of introduction with each person who's going to matter in any way in this movie.
Right.
So we meet our leads, Sam and Peter. They're kind of the two main guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sam has 2 jobs. He's working as a salesman at this paper company. He sucks at that. His real passion is being a chef. Peter is Dollar General Tom Cruise.
I was like, if this kid makes it out of this movie, he's going to grow up to become Patrick Bateman.
He just looks so much like Tom Cruise to me. And he's kind of it seems like he's kind of trying to do a Tom Cruise performance, especially later when he starts going crazy.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And he's also just like immediately set up as a douchebag where he's like, he's technically Sam's boss.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm about to fire you, but because you're my friend, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Or like, get your shit together. But he is just like, high strung and weird and really, really tense.
He's also banging the intern. His girlfriend is a college student who's interning at their paper company, which just, not necessarily like morally wrong, but like ethically weird to be sleeping with an intern at your company. And then we also meet there's Nathan, who's the guy who works in the warehouse. He's like the warehouse manager.
Yeah, he's the young warehouse manager who's clashing with the older union rep.
Yes. And normally I would be on the side of the union in this type of dispute, but the union rep being this guy specifically, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of on Nathan's side here because Roy, the union guy, sucks. I do appreciate though, because Nathan, the actor who plays Nathan, is black, and I will say in Final Destination 4 they try to tackle racism, and it really doesn't work.
Oh, goody.
Yes, it is handled, would you believe it, poorly. And a thing I really appreciate is Roy is kind of redneck coded. And he's having this he's butting heads with this black guy who is his boss. And I appreciate that we just keep all of the race stuff out of the script and just kind of let that dynamic, like, if the audience wants to project that onto it, they can. There's no lines of dialogue about it, and I'm like, great choice, Final Destination 5.
Right.
Because he's like, oh, college boy, you spent 4 years in a classroom upstate, and you think you're better than me or whatever.
I've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah. But it's like he never says anything else about it, and it's like, okay, that's great. I like that you just are mad about this because like he's like well educated and came in here without the bona fides that you're looking for. Right. We also meet Olivia, who is she pulls up in a van driven by her British punk rock boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
And immediately immediately walks up to join this group of her coworkers that are going on a business retreat and takes her shirt off, which is insane.
Yeah, she's like, I feel like these movies always have a token goth one.
Yeah.
And also she's sort of the token goth one combined with like the hot preppy ditzy girl.
Right. She's doing both things.
She's doing both of them, yeah.
Yeah. The gymnast girl too, who's the intern, Christy, I think her name is, who Peter is dating, is also doing a little bit of like the mean girl catty preppy thing.
Yeah, yeah. And Sam is dating Molly, and she
not anymore.
She pulls up to break up with him, basically.
I love that this movie starts and like at her character introduction, she's like, "I'm breaking up with you. This isn't working." Like, we get no context on their relationship. It just starts with her being like, "Bye, bitch." And also, now let's go on a fucking weekend retreat, and this is gonna be awkward the whole time.
Part of why they break up is Sam is trying to get a job. There's potential for him to get a job offer to go work in Paris at the other restaurant of this high-end restaurant that he works at. So that's sort of like the thing about their relationship throughout the movie, where it's like, can we make this work if he goes to Paris? It's all these movies have just like a very, very bare minimum relationship for the main character to go through.
Yes, and you can't get too invested in it because the movie will be killing off every character. So they never really put too much effort in being like, oh, you're supposed to care about these people. It's like, no, you just kind of have to understand that these people are like connected in some way. But they don't really work very hard to get any emotional investment. Except for when you're supposed to hate a character. Such as
Isaac, is that his name?
Isaac. I want to kill.
He's one of the guys from Wolf of Wall Street. I recognize the actor.
He is. The actor's name is PJ Byrne. I want to kill this guy with my bare hands. He's so. And his function in the movie is to just be a punching bag that the movie hates, and the movie is knowing that it's making you hate.
He's not even part of the friend group.
No.
It's like there's it's like we have the main cast, and they're all sort of some kind of a friend group unit.
Yeah. They all get along with each other.
We get one scene of them drinking together to like let us know that they're all friends.
Yes, while that is happening, Isaac is off sexually harassing employees of a massage parlor.
He's just some other fuck. He's just some other guy.
He's just a total pig and a creep, and he works in tech support, and it seems like the boss doesn't even know he exists. There's a funny joke with that later that we'll get to. But like, his character introduction is basically he's talking on the phone to some woman and being just really misogynistic, and then like
I
Molly,
think he's like, are you the fat one?
Yes.
I think that's what he says.
Yeah, right.
It's
like, you were a bigger girl, weren't you, or whatever.
Yeah, it's insane that this movie is trying to convince us that this rat fuck is pulling any kind of tail.
But apparently, to hear him tell it, he is. But then like he sees Molly and he's like, "Hey, not looking so good there, Moll." And she's like, "Gee, thanks," which I thought was very funny. Because she obviously just broke up with her boyfriend. And then, like, I do like the joke when they're in their little interaction where he's like, "Well, if you need anything, you can talk to me. I'm a great person. I'm a great listener with women." And then, like, she starts saying something back and he gets a phone call and he's like, "Hold on, shut up for a second." It's a little funny.
Yeah.
And also, we're introduced here to the boss, Dennis, played by David Koechner. How do you pronounce his last name?
Did I say Koechner?
You might have. I don't know.
It might be Koechner, actually.
It might be Koechner. It might be I don't fucking know.
The O and the E throw me off.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah.
We meet him as well.
Yeah.
And that's basically our band here.
Mm-hmm. So they all get in the bus, and it's a Final Destination movie. So Sam has a premonition about this bridge collapse that they build up to with a few... like there's always a few of these little Easter eggs and things
right. Like when
throughout
he's getting on the bus, it like the camera really lingers on the watch your step sign on
Yeah.
the stairs of the bus. He like cuts his finger on like the seat back in front of him. Dust in the Wind plays on the radio. Every Final Destination movie has a song that is like somehow tangentially related to the tragedy that happens.
Mhm.
Dust in the Wind is one of the biggest stretches that these movies have with the connection between the song and the event, because it's like, oh yeah, the wind sort of contributed to the bridge collapse, and the song has the word wind in it. Is basically the connection.
It is at least about death.
It is about death. That's
where
true.
like I think the first one's Take Me Home Country Roads, right?
Yeah, the first one is, I believe.
No, it's Rocky Mountain High.
The first one's Rocky Mountain High, and the only connection there is John Denver died in a plane crash. Right.
The second one's Highway to Hell, which is really well.
It's a highway crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third one's Love Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Which is just stupid. And then what's the fourth?
Oh,
Because the fourth one's
the fourth one is a race
racing
car crash. It's a crash at like the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the song is.
Okay.
That movie's so unmemorable that I literally watched it yesterday and I could barely tell you anything about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But Dust in the Wind is at least themed around death a bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh wait, the number 4. It's a Bee Gees song.
Oh.
It's like there's always someone walking behind you, or that one's in the third one. That one's it, because there's Love Roller Coaster and that one in the third one. So never mind. I still don't know what the fourth one's song is.
Okay.
Anyway,
but they do other things, like they pass by a logging truck, like the logging truck from the second one, and there's a little bit of an ominous like musical sting with that.
yeah.
There's a video playing on the bus monitors, bus TV monitors, and at one point the numbers 180
Yes.
flash.
And Flight 180 is the flight from the first movie.
Yeah.
And 180 is in every single one of these movies. The number 180 is like a central thing that the person who has the premonition notices. Like that's always involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they get on the suspension bridge, and the bridge collapse happens.
Mothman really should have showed up to warn these people about this bridge collapse. I could not stop thinking about basically from the establishing shot of the bridge, which I think is actually pretty good looking, by the way. I think some of it might just be watching the fourth one and then this, because the fourth one looks so bad. But watching this one, I was like, this is actually like not a terrible looking movie. It looks all right a lot of the time. Especially the restaurant stuff at the end, I feel like is actually quite well shot and like well staged and stuff.
Yeah.
But even just the establishing shot of the bridge, I'm like, hey, that's something.
Is Mothman an upstate New York cryptid?
No, he's West Virginia, but his whole thing is that he warned about a bridge collapsing, and then the bridge collapsed.
Oh.
Yeah, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. About a year before this bridge collapsed, people reported sightings of the Mothman, right? And then that went on for about a year, and then the bridge collapsed, and then people stopped seeing him. So he was like allegedly sort of the harbinger of this like architectural disaster, right? This where this bridge collapsed and killed a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with this bridge collapse, I was just like, "Where's Mothman? He's slacking. He should be there, being like, don't go on this bridge." I mean, maybe that's why Sam gets the vision. It would just be funny if in his vision he saw the Mothman. That caked up cryptid. Have you ever seen the statue of Mothman in Point Pleasant?
No, I haven't.
He's got a big juicy ass.
Oh, that's cool.
And a six-pack. They really did him a lot of favors.
I do appreciate whenever a city builds a statue to a fictional
to
character.
a fake thing. Yeah. I agree.
How do
I
you
just
feel?
feel like that the artist who made that statue was horny for Mothman. You should look it up.
Okay.
You'll probably agree with me once you see it.
How do you feel about the bridge collapse opening?
So, I have sort of mixed feelings on it. I will say I think it's one of the better opening premonition disasters in the franchise. Because 4, the opening premonition sucks like the rest of the movie. 3, it's also pretty lame. 2, the opening premonition is the best part of any Final Destination movie. So this doesn't reach that level, but it's better than some of the worst ones, right?
Yeah.
the shots of like the asphalt breaking apart on the bridge, which appear to be done practically.
I think some of this is practical. Like this set
Yeah.
is probably on hydraulics. So we got actors slipping and sliding around here.
Yeah.
That's all looks good.
A lot of that stuff is really cool. What I don't love as much is, first of all, a few of the deaths here, like I'm thinking like Isaac's death and Olivia's death, I feel like they could have done more with, because Isaac basically falls in the water in the bus, and Olivia like falls from the bridge into the water, and then a car falls on her, but you don't really see anything, and both of those are like very like CGI heavy moments, and I'm like, there's enough bodies here that we could have done something more creative with some of these. That being said, it sort of balances it out, where I think this opening is pretty good with some of the other moments that happen. Because like when Christy dies, she falls off the bridge, and there's a boat going underneath the bridge, and she lands on the mast of the boat. It's like a single mast like sailing ship. And it goes through her, and her intestines like spiral up the mast and stick on the top of it. And it's CGI gore. It doesn't look great. But the thing that I think this movie does pretty well is it knows that some of its kills will only be able to be accomplished by CGI gore, right? They didn't have the budget to do like all of this shit practically, right? And so when they do the CGI shit, they really go cartoony with it, and in a way that I think kind of works, where I'm like, okay, this doesn't look real. It looks very fake, but it's so goofy and over the top and kind of Looney Tunes that I kind of don't mind that it's clearly animated, because it's so extreme. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna do CGI gore, I feel like at least do it where it's so over the top that it would be almost impossible to accomplish practically, because then at least I'm looking at something and being like, wow, that's wild. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the CGI gore.
No, yeah, it's not good.
I think it looks particularly bad in this. Like, and some of it's clearly done for the 3D, like the intestines and the sailboat.
Yeah.
Like that's clearly like a 3D shot. But a lot of it just robs the moments of like, if they were a little bit better, and if like the kill was a little bit more creative, I think it could be fun and also have more of a visceral impact on you to like, you know, make your skin crawl or whatever, get that reaction out of you.
Yeah.
But like there's when I think Sam's death is a bunch of rebar goes through him.
Yeah, that one sucks.
And he just fully turns into a video game character and slumps towards the screen.
That one really sucks. And the one right after that, or I guess it's Peter gets the rebar, and then Sam gets like bisected by sheet metal.
Right.
And both of those really suck.
Yeah.
They're like moments where I'm like, okay, that looks like fucking ass.
But David Koechner getting the oil on him rocks.
That one's awesome.
And it looks good.
It does look good. Even though that one is also clearly CGI. It's like good CGI. It looks really good.
I would love more stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. He gets like all of this hot tar on him, and then his skin like sloughs off as he's like falling from the bridge. It's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who have we forgotten here? Nathan gets hit by one of the cables.
Oh, that one's fun because it's really sudden. It's, again, kind of just like a digital blood splatter or whatever, but it is fun that it just like swings and just takes him out in like 1 second.
Yeah, the sudden ones don't ever really do that much for me in these. Like, even except for maybe David Koechner getting the wrench in the face.
That one's fun.
The sudden kills, like the really, really sudden ones, like they just sort of feel like blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
Like, and I know Sean William Scott in the first one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any from the third.
Yeah, there's one in I guess I'm thinking of the fourth one. There's one where a guy just gets hit by a bus. I think that happens in a couple of these movies.
Yeah.
And it's like those ones are always kind of a cop out where it's like, all right, like
I think
show me something more creative than
like
this.
You can hit I think you could hit Nathan with the cable, but like have him, I don't know, have us see him get cut in half or something.
Yeah.
You know
what I do like? So I hate the moment where the rebar goes through Peter, but then after that happens, his body falls and it bounces off the little like foundation of the bridge down below, and there's a huge blood splatter, and then he bounces and goes into the water.
That was fun.
That's fun. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the sequence is okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a little clear that maybe they were running out of ideas and they couldn't really top the first movie or the second movie.
The second movie really has made it difficult, I think, to do one of these opening premonitions in a Final Destination movie, because the second one sets the bar so high that every subsequent entry in the franchise has not even come close.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the second movie, but I've watched that sequence on YouTube before.
It is easily the best moment of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like every subsequent entry has been trying for that and just failing ever since. The opening of 3 especially, I watched the opening premonition of 3 and I was like, ooh, is this movie gonna be bad? And then the opening premonition is actually like maybe the worst part of the movie, and it gets way better from there. But it's like, especially coming right off 2, it's like, yeah, you kind of, if you don't apply the same level of effort, it's just gonna look lazy by comparison, right? And so they kind of all end up looking a little lazy.
Yeah, and I think the part of the problem is, especially because the first one comes out and then 9/11 happens.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like there's a push and pull that these movies have in between capturing the mundane horror of accidents and just all of the strange ways that people can die in real life.
Yeah.
And trying to make that fun and not depressing.
Right.
And grim.
Right. It is hard. It's hard depicting mass tragedy in the early to mid 2000s. Yeah.
So they definitely struggle with that. So they have to come up with like, okay, well, we can do a highway accident.
We can do a roller coaster, race car track.
Yeah, roller coaster. Okay, that's fun. That doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah.
Bridge collapse. And infrastructure's not that good. If anything, these movies are about America's failing infrastructure and how working class people are overworked and underpaid and our society is failing because bolts are being loosened and electrical failures are happening.
There are just so many electronics just waiting for a drop of water to short circuit them and kill us all. Yeah. The only other important thing to mention about this opening premonition is that Molly, Sam's girlfriend, does get to safety in the premonition.
Right.
She doesn't die. That's important for the plot. But then Sam comes to on the bus. And he, it's your classic Final Destination opening where he's like, everybody's got to get off. We're all going to die. And all the people that we've already met listen to him and get off the bus, right? And then we see the bridge collapse for real. And then one of my favorite parts of every Final Destination movie, the part where the protagonist who had the vision gets sat down in a police station and accused of domestic terrorism.
Right.
Because, that's what has to happen. You kind of can't not have that moment when it's like, okay, there's a mass casualty event. This one person knew it was going to happen and yelled at a bunch of people to get to safety right before it happens. It's like, yeah, that guy is going to spend the night in a jail cell, obviously. I will say the cop in this, Agent Block.
Yeah, Courtney B. Vance.
He is easily one of the best bit players that this franchise has ever had.
Because he's a good actor.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He sort of classes up this thing a little bit. And
he really does.
In the end, I wish there was more of him in the movie, but I understand that this is a Final Destination movie, and we don't have room for the B-plot cop.
No. Although he has enough in this movie where I'm like, okay, they gave him something. He pops up consistently throughout.
Right.
I do wish there was.
And
more.
He's a good enough actor that I think he's making something out of nothing.
Yeah. And I really like him in this opening scene where he's like, this seems premeditated. Like it seems like you knew this was going to happen, and then you demolished a bridge with a bomb or something. And then his like partner comes in and is like, "Hey, the reports came back from the guys in the field. Turns out that bridge collapsed on its own. You have to let this kid go." and Courtney B. Vance is like, "All right, but I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other for the remainder of this 90-minute movie." So then it's another classic part of every Final Destination movie, which is at least one funeral has to happen in all of these movies. And I will say, one of the most bleak things I can possibly imagine is a company-sponsored funeral, a work funeral, which is what this is.
Yeah, I was watching this and I was like, I kind of wish they leaned into that a little bit more, because it's clear that David Koechner is like definitely trying to make this speech seem a lot more serious and somber, considering he's like a giant asshole boss.
Yeah,
where he's like, who could forget so and so's smile?
Right, Timmy Vance's this big old smile or whatever he says. Yeah.
And then he gets Isaac's name thrown in there.
Yes.
And
yeah.
And Isaac's
yeah,
like,
and
I'm
like,
alive.
Did he just say my name? And then Olivia starts laughing. And he's like, what are you laughing at? It's not funny. And she's like, sorry, I get really weird with tragedies. And then Nathan goes, I see dead people. Which I thought that joke was really funny. Like, it's like one of the funniest jokes in any of these movies, that like the boss Dennis like doesn't even know that Isaac survived.
Yeah, I think they could really lean into like the whole like, yeah, if you died at the office, or if you died and you had an office funeral, no one would care that you were gone.
Yeah.
Because you're just a corporate cog in America.
I feel like you get a little of that, but I agree they should have leaned into it more. There was like more untapped potential for comedy and also like commentary there.
You know, you said this is The Office by way of Final Destination. I think we could push that even further and just do a Final Destination movie set entirely at an office.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, you know, someone drowns at the water cooler somehow.
I did think while I was watching 3, because 3 has a set piece that happens basically in a Home Depot, like a big box like home renovation store.
That's the nail gun?
The nail gun one.
Yeah.
While I was watching that sequence, I was like, I would totally pay admission for a Final Destination movie that takes place entirely in a Home Depot, because there's so much shit there that can kill people. Like you have all of your options already.
That movie just writes itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone gets photocopied to death in the Office one. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone chokes on mandatory birthday cake. Mandatory office birthday cake. Yeah, the fucking company funeral is just so sad. This is the first time we see Tony Todd in this movie.
Yeah.
Tony Todd, the late great Tony Todd, a staple of this franchise. He has appeared in some way in all of these except the 4th one. He's not in the 4th one.
Okay, I couldn't remember him in the 3rd one at all, but at the time I probably didn't.
He is the voice of the roller coaster. So I said in some way.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, he doesn't really appear in the 3rd one, but he voices the devil, which is the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's going to be in. He's in Bloodlines. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his last film appearance, I believe.
Yeah, or one of the last ones.
Yeah. And I think Tony Todd is, no surprise, pretty good in this movie. I think he is maybe phoning this one in a little bit compared to his appearances in 1 and 2. He feels like maybe a little bit more like he just showed up for the paycheck on this one, but also he's Tony fucking Todd. And if you put a camera on that guy, he's gonna make your movie better. Like, I love him so much.
I think I like him in this one more than the first one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because the first one, he's really just in that one scene, and he has to explain how a Final Destination movie works, and does it in a few too many words, because it was the first one and no one really knew the concept.
Yeah.
With this one, I can appreciate him as a spice throughout the movie that shows up in the background,
Yeah.
says a line or two, and then, is there to be like, so you guys are in a Final Destination movie, and this is what that means.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to peace out. See you guys later.
I do really, really like that the movie uses him in that way in this one, because in the other ones where he shows up, it's one scene and done, right? He shows up for one scene and then he's out of the movie. In this one, it's like, no, he's like there for like the first half of this thing. He keeps popping up. And that I really like. I think he gets more screen time in this movie than in any of the other ones. And that automatically kind of like gives 5 a little bit of a boost for me, because I'm like, yeah, I just get to see more Tony Todd.
Yeah, it was nice to see more of him.
Yeah.
That was one of my things with the first movie, was like, I just would like a little bit more Tony Todd.
Yeah. And I think he is just, as always, great. Yeah, at the funeral, he just has like one line to them where he's basically like, death doesn't like to be cheated or whatever. And they're like, what does that mean? And he's like, nothing, no, I'll tell you about it later. I'm out of here.
See you guys at the end of the second act.
Yeah.
And I like that I think these movies are better for the fact that they have Tony Todd in them.
Oh, totally.
It's nice to have this sort of abstract concept as like, death is this vengeful force that doesn't like to be cheated, and then we have some sort of physical representation of that, or a character that can explain that.
Yeah, it really helps to put a face on it. Yeah. And that's one of the many problems with 4, is that he's not in it at all, and it's like you lose that entirely, and these movies kind of don't work if he's not in them. 3, I think, has enough going for it in other ways that his absence I don't feel as strongly, but like 3 would still be better if he was there. Like, all of these movies are better when he's in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, so there's some relationship stuff here with Sam trying to get back together with Molly, and they're talking about Paris. But we get to our first big kill of the movie, which is the gymnastics kill.
Yes.
This is one that I had seen before.
Yeah. Christy is practicing for a gymnastics meet. And we already spoiled that ending of the movie. So just a thing I like in this scene is that all of the banners for like the state championships around the arena are like 1994, 1998. And this movie came out in 2011.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not thinking about it the first time you watch the movie, but if you rewatch it, you're like, oh yeah, all of the set dressing. I was also noticing that when I was watching it this time, because I already knew the twist. I was looking at the cars.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, they
that with
are
their cars.
all like 90s cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think even in like 2011, they were still sort of recent enough that you could reasonably expect that. And even like the only cell phone in the movie that's featured prominently is Isaac's during
and it's a flip phone.
And it's a flip phone. And in 2011, like, we were still using flip phones.
Yep. Especially this fucking like dork ass dweeb.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you could totally buy that he's like still using a flip phone.
Yeah. But I didn't notice that about the gymnastics banners. That's cool.
It's a cool little detail. Where when you rewatch it, you're like, oh, of course, this movie is like not trying to hide its twist. It's just doing it in a way that's like subtle enough that you don't really get it unless you're looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Christy is practicing for the gymnastics meet. Peter's there. He kind of like convinces her to like go to practice because she's feeling a little discouraged. And then the AC isn't working. The AC isn't working until a guy pushes a button, which I think is so funny. Christy and the coach have a whole exchange about this where she's like, they need to get it working or we're going to pass out. And the coach is like, they're working hard on it. And then it cuts to a guy opening a panel, pushing one button, and the AC just turns on. And I'm like, oh yeah, it seems like they were really working their asses off. But when the AC kicks on, there's like a loose screw that like falls on the balance beam, and then the guy plugs in a fan, and there's a frayed wire that's exposed, and then the AC system starts fucking dripping water on the floor near the exposed wire. I also just have to say, a thing I really appreciate in every Final Destination movie is the part where the camera sort of focuses on something that looks a little bit like a skull. Which happens with this extension cord that's plugged into the fan. The like plug looks a little skull-like, and the camera's like, "Hey, look at this." It's just one of those like silly little campy things.
Yeah. Well, and it always does like the shadow of death thing, where they're like, the shadow passes over and the actor sort of, or the character sort of notices it for a second. It's like, I wonder what that was. Anyway.
Yeah, there's also always a light breeze in this movie. Death loves just having a little light breeze go through your hair right before you eat shit. But yeah, the screw's on the balance beam.
The close-up of the screw on the balance beam is there's always one or two kill, I think, in each movie that is going to leave an impact on a viewer.
Yeah.
And that all depends on your personal tastes and your personal fears and what gets you scared and all that. I gotta say, the close-up of the screw as she's doing her gymnastics routine and her feet are just barely missing it is very, very good.
It's really good. And also the photography here is pretty good too. Like the way that these shots are framed, and I like the I think the color too, like the contrast of like the neutrals of like the her feet and the balance beam, and then kind of like the dark blue of the background and stuff. It just like really puts it's very effective at ratcheting up the tension because your eyes are constantly on the screw being like, oh no, oh fuck. Yeah. It's pretty well done.
Yeah.
So she actually does her whole routine
right
on the beam without hitting the screw. And then she goes to the fucking thing where you swing around a bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
I don't know what it is either.
Gymnastics is fucking crazy, dude. That's one of the thoughts I had watching this scene, because they have a bunch of real gymnasts just doing actual gymnastics as extras in the background in this scene. And I was just watching them being like, this shit's fucking bananas. It's such a crazy thing where people just throw their bodies like 20 feet in the air and just like land and are fine. Which I guess is sort of also what the people who wrote this movie were thinking, given what happens.
Yeah, because someone's about to land and not be fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much the opposite of fine.
Yeah, so the girl after Christy is on the balance beam and she like flips and like lands hard on the screw and immediately falls off the balance beam and like knocks over the chalk bucket. The chalk goes into the fan and the fan like sprays chalk all over Christy while she's like swinging around on the thing, and she like loses her grip and just fucking it's just fucking Crunchtown, USA, dude.
Yeah, she just folds in half, man.
Her spine comes out. One of her leg bones is like sticking out. Her hand is like twitching. It's brutal. It's a pretty good one. I really like this kill.
I don't know how I feel about it, actually.
Okay.
I like the screw. I like that this movie has more collateral damage than the other ones that I can remember, where like this girl gets the screw in the foot and she wasn't involved in this thing at all.
Right. She was just a pawn in Death's game of Mousetrap.
I think Roy gets the hook in the neck later, and he's completely uninvolved in all of this. So I like some of that. I don't know, the crunch just seems a little sudden, and I wish it was practical. I wish we had some more practical stuff with it. Like, it would be really rad if this was just like a puppet with a bone and blood and giblets sticking out of it.
I do agree with that. And this is one that they could have done practically and they just didn't, right? For time or budget or whatever. They just didn't.
They really want to keep things in camera.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thing with a lot of CGI kills is they want to have the actor in the shot talking and then get killed mid-sentence.
Right.
So they do CGI, and of course CGI is cheaper now anyway.
Yeah.
And I sort of appreciate practical effects. I appreciate practical effects that are well edited into a sequence.
Yeah, totally.
And they can still be surprising and shocking if they're well edited with it. So like, yeah, I don't know. I wish that I don't know. I don't know.
I still like this one.
I also don't know. This one maybe pushes the bounds of reality for me a little bit. Like,
yeah. There's also a kill in one of these movies where a guy gets like hit by an air tank and it blasts him backward into like a chain link fence, and the chain link fence like cuts his entire body into little diamonds.
Oh, that's fun.
It's dumb as shit, right? So it's like the bar for this franchise is basically
Sure.
like, check your sense of reality at the door. Like none of this shit could actually happen. Which I like that they sort of actually comment on in this one, where when the cops are investigating the gymnastics
Right.
arena later, one of the local cops goes up to Block, who's like a federal agent, and is like, yeah, man, like this shit shouldn't have happened. It's fucking crazy that she died this way. We don't know how.
We don't know how to explain this.
This seems impossible. And so it's like the movie's aware. And it's like, yeah, no, this can't happen. but it did. Moving on.
Do you? We should just check this off right now. Do you have a favorite kill in this movie?
A favorite kill in this movie? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's probably this one. I was thinking about it just because of the lead up with the screw on the balance beam. I kind of think this is like one of the best moments of the movie entirely. Although I also really like the wrench going into the boss's face, and that I think is a practical effect when they show him. Because not when it hits him. Because when it hits him from the back, it's CGI.
Yeah, there's definitely something practical going on there.
Yeah, but it's like a dummy with like a wrench in its head and blood and shit.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's maybe the other one. I like both of those a lot.
Okay,
but I really like this one because of the lead up to it. And yeah, I think the end result of like her mangled body, even though it is a digital effect, it looks good enough to me that I'm like, I'll accept it. I'll take it. Yeah.
Maybe I just want Damien Leone to direct one of these.
Yeah. Dude, Damien Leone would do the shit out of a Final Destination. You kidding me? It's almost like he was born to make a Final Destination movie. Because basically the Terrifier movies are Final Destination movies, except a clown is doing everything.
And now that Tony Todd's passed away, we can have David Howard Thornton play a similar mortician character to show up.
Right, he could show up and be like, hey, William Bloodworth taught me everything I know. I'm the new mortician in town. It rocks that Tony Todd's character name
I didn't know that.
His name is William Bloodworth. It rules. Absolutely zero subtlety in this franchise. I love it. Yeah, what's your favorite kill in this movie?
I think it's Roy getting the hook in the head.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
I think that's probably it. Because that one's pretty practical too.
It is. Yeah. There's like a CGI blood squirt, but like the rest of it is like just a dummy on a hook.
Yeah. And I like the editing in that where you think he's gonna fall into the spikes that they put the paper rolls on.
Yeah, and you see his feet dangling and then the stream of blood.
Yeah.
It's good.
And it's nice to have some collateral damage.
Yeah.
Someone who isn't part of the main cast.
It is a good one.
So we have a scene at work where everyone's fucking dead. So they're all at work trying to figure out like, how do we run this office with everyone dead?
Yeah. I like the moment where Dennis is in his office and he's like on the phone with corporate and they're like, okay, so like all of the deceased employees' badges need to be deactivated. And he's like, shouldn't that be the facility manager's job? And there's a pause and the guy on the other end of the phone goes, Dennis, the facility manager's dead. Yeah.
So they all decide to get drunk.
Right. They're just like, okay, we can't do our jobs because everyone in the office except like the 6 of us are dead. So let's just day drink.
And then Isaac is perving over this dead coworker's desk where there's like a picture of her, and he picks it up and he's like practically licking it, and he's like, "Oh, you were so naughty.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna root through your desk looking for loose change."
Yeah, him pouring her change jar into his pocket also made me laugh. Where I'm like, this dude is like, not only is he like a misogynist and a racist and a pervert, but also he's a grave robber.
Is he a racist? Does he say? Oh yeah,
yes.
Okay,
oh, David, is he a racist?
Sure, I forgot about the scene that is immediately coming up.
You forgot about the entire racism set piece in this movie. like him stealing shit from his coworkers' desks. And he goes over to one of his other coworkers' desks and finds a gift certificate for a massage parlor. So while everybody else is getting day drunk, off of Peter's bottle of whiskey that he was gonna finish by himself anyway because he's crushed that his girlfriend, folded in half in front of him.
His girlfriend dies and this guy turns into the fucking Joker.
He does. I sort of think this actor does an okay job pulling this off.
Yeah.
Where like I kind of think the guy who plays Sam, the true lead of the movie, is sort of bad. I kind of think that performance is like a normal Final Destination lead performance, which means he's not very good, right? But I kind of think Peter, who has the villain turn, I'm like, that guy's actually like kind of good in this movie. Like I kind of think he rocks. He's doing something,
Yeah.
But yeah, Isaac goes to the massage parlor and he's like, what'll this gift certificate get me in terms of my dick getting sucked? Basically.
Yes.
It is funny that when he comes into the massage parlor, he's on the phone trying to make a date with this woman. And he keeps saying like the horrible pervy things to her. And the girl who's working the reception desk at the massage parlor is like clearly totally listening. And then she tells him to turn his cell phone off. And he shuts his phone and he's like, sorry, my sister's really needy. And he's been like perving out over this woman. It's just, yeah. But then, yeah, he's basically like, I want an erotic massage. I want a happy ending, all that shit. And this is an establishment run by, Chinese immigrants.
Yes.
So he's also being extremely racist during all of this. And like...
And they're young and attractive,
yes.
and he's leering over them. And...
At one point, when she's walking him down the hall to the room, he's like, slow
like,
down.
Yeah.
You got a real nice canter. Which I was like...
Like a horse?
Yes.
Is this man looking at horse asses?
Oh, babe. Your ass reminds me of my favorite horse. Yeah. I would not be surprised if Isaac was into some Mr. Hand shit. He seems like the type. But yeah, so he's gonna get a massage. He thinks he's gonna get a massage from this hot young woman. And then his masseuse comes in and she is a middle-aged Chinese woman. And immediately he's like, oh, gross. I wanted a hot young lady to jerk me off. And then she starts talking to him in Chinese. And admittedly, I did laugh at the joke where he says, because, he's being a big racist oaf here. And he's like, do you come with subtitles? And then immediately after he says that, her speaking Chinese becomes subtitled in the movie. I did laugh at that.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she starts, hurting him basically, and his joints are cracking.
Yeah, she's doing like extreme chiropractic to him, just like fucking twisting his spine and shit.
Yeah, and then she brings out the acupuncture needles and starts poking him with these, and like he reacts to this surprise acupuncture like pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, he's kind of like, well, I've gotten this far. Let's see what we got. Yeah. He's like, I'm in this deep. Maybe it started working for him. The back cracking and stuff. He's like, hey, not what I was expecting, but still getting me there.
Unlocking a new kink here.
Yeah. So yeah, she puts all the acupuncture needles in him. And then she's like, okay, you go to sleep for 30 minutes and then we'll take the needles out. And she leaves the room. But she leaves, so she's like sanitize the needles with like a rag soaked in alcohol. So that's sitting there. And then she took his cell phone and like put it on a shelf next to a candle, right? And so then after she leaves the room, the incense like drops some ash on the alcohol soaked rag, so that lights on fire.
Yeah.
He starts yelling. There was a joke earlier about the walls being thick so no one would hear his sex moans. So he's screaming, but no one's coming, right? And then the acupuncture table like collapses because we saw like a bolt come out of it earlier, and he like falls on the ground.
Yeah, he falls on the ground face first and gets all the acupuncture needles bent, and they get they change out the needles for thicker ones.
Yes.
in this
Death made the needles bigger.
So, he's like pulling these big old honking needles out of his skin.
I will say the shot where he pulls the needle out is a practical gore effect.
Yeah.
And like when he pulls it out and there's like blood pouring out and all the needles are in him and they look all fucked up and shit. That moment I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, that's good shit in this sequence.
Yeah.
And like the alcohol spills everywhere. His vibrating phone knocks the candle off and the whole room like catches on fire, right? And he's like freaking out. And he like falls to the ground. And there's a moment where it seems like it might be over. And he's like, oh, wait, okay. And then the Buddha statue breaks off of the shelf above his head and just smashes his head and like gore splashes all over the camera.
Yeah, this is one of the better ones I think in this movie.
It's a pretty good one, especially because you hate this character so much.
Yeah,
and it's especially brutal where it's like, all right, it's fun to see this guy get his shit rocked.
I think the watching the dominoes fall in this one is fun.
It is fun
watching how all of the different things connect and the way the scene progresses.
Yeah,
it's one of the more fun Rube Goldberg machines to watch in this. Where some of them it's like they set up the Rube Goldberg machine and they have sort of the big set piece around it, and then they try to subvert it at the end, and it just goes like a little bit too far over the top.
Yeah.
With like I think sort of the laser eye surgery one is sort of like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's still funny. I think this one works a little bit better though.
I agree. Yeah, I think
and my thing with the first one, why I will say that I like this one more than the first one. Which maybe I said that already, but one of the other problems that I had with it is that I don't think the deaths are all that memorable in the first one.
No, there's only a couple that I really remember.
Yeah. It's a lot. They haven't quite found the formula yet of setting up the Rube Goldberg machines. And of course they get excessive in some of these where they're just throwing so many like red herrings at the screen to be like try to throw the audience off.
The real downfall of that style of like setup for these kills in these movies is like, especially when you get to like the fourth one and even this one, there are moments where they're setting up something that it could be that ends up being more interesting than what happens. And it's like, oh, like you kind of gave me expectations that you didn't deliver on.
Yeah. I sort of remember that with 3 too.
Yeah. There are a couple of those moments in 3. Yeah, I think there's at least one kill like that in almost all of these movies where it's like the setup is better than the payoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think this one finds a good middle ground and balances it well.
I like his head getting crushed by Buddha.
I like his head getting crushed by Buddha too.
And then it cuts to Buddha's face and there's blood dripping down smiling Buddha's face. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, the effect, the head smashing effect looks all right too.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. Partially because the room is very dimly lit and it's like easier to make it look good when it's CGI gore when you're doing it in pseudo darkness, right?
Yeah. So during the drinking scene, Olivia knocked her picture off of the desk and cracked it. Does it crack over her eye too?
It cracks over her eye.
Okay.
It's very, again, there is zero subtlety to these movies. The girl with glasses is going to get some eye trauma. Her character introduction is basically her vision's not great. She can't see without her glasses. She doesn't like wearing glasses. Clearly, eye trauma will be inflicted on this person.
Yeah. But somewhere in here too, they confront the coroner at Isaac's death scene.
Yeah.
And Tony Todd explains, "You're in a Final Destination movie, and death is hunting you all down."
But this is the 5th installment, so there's a new twist.
So, well, I like that he's like, I've seen this happen before, and that's a good thing to throw the audience off into thinking this is a sequel to the others when in fact it is a prequel.
Yeah.
So I do want to know the other.
Well, they're leaving it open to a whole sequel verse, right?
Yeah.
We can get our Roman Colosseum Final Destination.
1930s stock market crash and a Wall Street banker goes out a window.
It'd be funny if they just started using real world tragedies, but you would have to use them like very far back. Like, it's still too soon potentially for a 9/11 Final Destination.
No, you do the Titanic.
Yeah, you can do the Titanic. You can do the Titanic.
And then someone jumps off the Titanic before it gets hit by an iceberg.
Yeah, or
there's
like
one lifeboat that made it out
or they're
first.
like gonna get on the Titanic, and then like they have a premonition about the Titanic sinking, and they don't get on, and then like all the shit happens to them in Ireland or whatever. Then it's just shenanigans in Belfast.
And then Death is like, well, you're gonna get into a 20-mile-an-hour motor car accident.
Yeah. You're
But
gonna die from a botched dental surgery because it's the 1910s.
Yeah, but there's one stray line here that Tony Todd gives about like maybe you can find someone to take your place, and Peter's immediately just like, so I can murder someone?
Yes, because he's already started going insane. When they're day drinking in the office, he has a great moment where he has a full freak out. He like throws his rocks glass at the wall and screams at everybody, and then storms out. I also like that when that happens, Dennis calls Agent Block and is like, hey, so you told me to call you if I saw anything suspicious. One of my employees just fucking lost his shit in the office. And Agent Block is like, okay, yeah, all right. And then the boss guy is like, should we have code names for each other? And Courtney B. Vance just slams the phone shut, being like, I'm not talking to this fucking guy. But yeah, so immediately when Peter learns that he can kill someone and take their life, the remaining years of their life, he's like, okay, so I'm gonna go buy a gun now. Basically immediately.
Yeah, I like this concept a lot. I
It's
think
fun.
It's fun. It's kind of cool that all of them I think do some sort of twist on the formula ever so slightly. Like
yes,
the third one has the photographs.
The second one, they introduce a thing where if you die and then get resuscitated, then you're off of death's list because you did die, right? So the whole thing in number 2 is basically like, oh, I have to die and then be brought back Flatliner style to beat a Final Destination movie. So that's the twist in the second one. The fourth one has some horse shit that I don't remember.
Part of why I didn't watch all of these is like I would just get them confused probably, and I would just start mixing up the deaths. And it seems like you're doing a really good job keeping things separated.
Yeah.
And then every time you get to the fourth one, you're like, I don't know, something fucking stupid happened in that one.
I memory hold it because it doesn't matter.
But yeah, it's a fun twist that that there's a possibility that if you kill someone, you get taken off of death's list.
Yeah. Yes, you get to steal the remaining years that they were supposed to live because they replace their death replaces your death and their life like replaces your life, which is yeah, it's a fun idea. And I like that this movie like takes that to its logical endpoint, which is like, oh yeah, now it's just a movie about a guy trying to murder people. I sort of like that the third act of this is just like crazy guy with a gun trying to kill people.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I do sort of wish like I mean it's not a good movie, so I'm not like super disappointed about this. It would be cool if they took the concept even further, but I think it's a nice payoff for the third act.
Yeah.
But before that, we have laser eye surgery.
Yes.
We have the Dead Space 2 cutscene.
Right.
That everyone knows.
Yeah, because basically, like, once they talk to Tony Todd here for the final time, Sam and Molly are like, well, we got to go warn Olivia because people are dying, right? So they go to warn her, and apparently they know that she had a LASIK appointment. She's using her bereavement pay to pay for LASIK, which I think is fun. I like the moment where she walks in while they're all like mourning in the office, and she's like, hey, did you guys get your bereavement pay yet? And she like seems so jazzed.
Yeah, and Peter's sulking in the corner because his girlfriend died.
Yeah, and then she makes a crack about Christy doing gymnastics, and she's like, yeah, I'm surprised that she didn't fucking fold in half way earlier than now. That shit's insane. But yeah, she's in the doctor's office. This doctor, did this guy have like kind of weirdly horny energy to you? This doctor just seems a little like, I don't know. He just seems a little horny to me.
Maybe.
I don't know. But she gets in like this head vice thing. There's like the laser thing above her head. there's a lot of shit here where they're setting up the kill where she has like a teddy bear that she's hugging for like stress relief, and she like pops an eyeball off of it.
Yeah. And I as soon as he shows her the teddy bear sitting on the shelf, I was like, oh, we're gonna get some reaction shots from those teddy bears as she's dying in a few minutes here.
Lo and behold,
and we do
live teddy bear reaction. Yeah.
He leaves while the laser's powering up.
He puts like a thing in her eye that's holding her eyelid open, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry, my dumbass receptionist gave me an incomplete file. Hold on a sec," and leaves her with this thing like expanding her eyelid, which seems very unprofessional. Like, it seems like he should at least take that shit out.
Right.
Let her blink.
Right. Especially with how clearly, visibly scared she is.
Right. Like trembling in fear. Like, hold on, just stay here in this weird, cold, dark room with this thing holding your eyeball open. I'll be back in a few minutes.
So this thing's plugged into the wall next to the water cooler for some fucking reason.
This is one of the stupidest, in terms of like leaps in logic, this is one of the dumbest ones in the whole movie.
I think so. So there's a water cup on top of the water cooler that falls onto the plug, and it short circuits and then causes the laser to increase in power, and we have a very convenient display for the audience that says laser to not exceed 5.0 blah blah blahs, and we just watch that number.
Which is the second time this franchise has done that, because that also happens, I think, in the fourth one. There's a similar display where it's like, this piece of electronic equipment cannot exceed this level, and then it just, it's the exact same thing. But yeah, and then she's trying to hit the emergency stop button with this little like remote control that's on the desk, but her head's in the vise, so she can't really see where she's reaching, and she knocks it off, and instead it turns on the laser on button. And this laser fucking shoots her in the eyeball and cuts up her eye and shit. The digital effects here like don't look great, but I don't know. It's a lady getting lasered in the face. It's not. It could be worse.
I mean, for eye trauma, they could go a lot harder.
They could go a lot harder. Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know that eye trauma is one of the things that like I'm particularly scared of, but I know it's pretty effective for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like, I think they could have pushed this. I with how over the top this sequence ends.
Yes,
I think they could have gone even further with the laser stuff.
I agree. I think the payoff of the laser is a little lame.
Yeah.
With how much they ramp up to it. But yeah, she gets lasered in the face. Eventually she gets out of the like head restraint thing. Mm-hmm. She like held up her hand, so she also got like lasered all over her hand and shit. And she's like bleeding and stuff. And then Sam and Molly and like the doctor bust in because they heard her screaming, and she's wearing high heels, and her heel like catches on the teddy bear's eye that fell on the floor, mm-hmm. and she trips and just goes out the window. And this optometrist's office is on like the 20th floor of a high rise, and she like falls on the hood of a car. It's it's whatever.
It's silly.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then her eyeball pops out.
All right. Yeah, then her eyeball pops out and gets run over by a car, which is fun.
It does. Again, it doesn't look great. It's a CGI eyeball getting run over, but I do appreciate that detail. I like the eyeball popping out and then getting run over by a car.
Death has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Sam realizes everyone's basically dying in order, so
right.
Then he's trying to remember the next one. And he thinks it's Nathan. They go to the warehouse.
But before they get there, Nathan gets in an argument with Roy.
Yeah. Because Roy wrote "fuck you" on his time card.
Just such a petty little bitch, dude.
Because he had to have his hours cut,
right.
And I guess he was cutting everyone's hours. So they're having this argument.
Yeah, he's cutting everyone's hours because all of the staff died.
Everyone's dead. Like, what do you want?
They're giving us less work at this plant on account of everyone being dead. But yeah, Roy's being a real piece of shit about
that probably doesn't happen at Amazon.
Oh yeah, probably not.
Someone dies at an Amazon warehouse, and Jeff is like, "Nope, No, we're increasing productivity.
We're increasing your hours and decreasing your hourly rate, so we're actually paying you the same for more work, probably, is what would happen.
Pee breaks are now 15 seconds instead of 30.
Now you have to pay us for your lunch break. $15 a day for lunch break.
But you still get Amazon Prime for free,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
In this exchange between Roy and Nathan, there is my favorite line of the movie, which is like they're having this argument about him cutting his hours, and Nathan goes, the warehouse is only operating at 50%. I had to cut your hours, and Roy's response is, my bookie ain't operating at 50%. My dumbass kid ain't operating at 50%. My whore of an ex-wife, she's taking 50%. just like the funniest imaginable tirade for this guy to have immediately before he gets hooked in the head.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about it. He gets fucking hooked in the head.
Yeah.
And
like Nathan sort of pushes him right before it happens. And so then like when Peter and Molly and Sam show up, Peter's like, "Hey, so you killed him, so you have his life now." Like Tony Todd told us. And Nathan's like, "Yeah, I guess I did, right?"
yeah.
And then it like immediately after that, Dennis the boss shows up. And Nathan's like, well, then who's next? And then it's just like wrench in the face.
Yeah.
So we get like a 1-2 punch here.
Yeah, that's I like that a lot. And anytime a sharp object is going through someone's chin,
Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, the hook does look probably the best of any of the kills in this movie.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's basically just the three of them now. And
Yeah.
this is where we it's funny. It's really funny to me in this movie how chill Sam is after this scene. Because, like, he sees his boss get wrenched in the face and gets splattered with his blood. And in the next scene, he's like, yeah, so I'm going to go to work. I've kind of decided that, like, if...
No, he is, like, super cautious when he gets to work because he sees, like, he's, like, looking at the knives.
Yeah.
And then someone has a blowtorch to do, like, creme brulee, and he's sort of, like, trying to keep his distance.
Yeah, there's the guy with the huge meat skewer who's like, oh, that could have been bad. And he's like, oh, yeah.
So he's sort of, like, dodging that stuff as he walks in. And he's
But like when he's talking to Molly about going to work,
Yeah.
she's like, hey, just call out. And he's like, nah, if Death wants to take me today, I've made my peace with that. And I'm like, have you? Because I feel like I would be traumatized and shitting my pants after seeing everything that you've just seen.
My thing is, like, Death is so vengeful in these movies, and Death doesn't want his he doesn't want to be cheated. I'm like, why are you giving these people premonitions then?
Yeah. Maybe Death's not the one doing it. Maybe some other, spiritual force is giving them the premonitions, and Death is like, well, fucking now I gotta clean up this shit. Yeah, I don't know. It is funny. It is a funny thing in these movies. This one doesn't deal with it, but it's a funny thing in these movies where, like, the screenwriters have answered the question, like, why don't these people just kill themselves? Because the deaths that happen to them are so horrible and insane. It's like, wouldn't you, if you knew this was going to happen to you, maybe just opt out? And it's like, the answer in these movies is like, death won't let you kill yourself. One of the only good parts of 4 is there's a moment where one of the characters shows up at another character's house who's like next, and he's trying to hang himself, and he just like it doesn't work. He's just hanging there, and he's like still alive, and he's like, I took a bottle of painkillers, I just threw them up, I attached the exhaust a pipe to the exhaust in my car and like put it in to the cab to try and suffocate myself. The car kept stalling. It's funny. It's funny when a guy's trying to kill himself in one of these movies and is just unable to. It's like, no, you will be dispatched in the way that the screenplay demands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does his little shift at work.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about his French boss at all. We don't need to touch on him much. I just kind of like this character.
Yeah.
I like when the food gets sent back and Sam's all like, worried about it because the customer didn't like it, and then the French like chef tastes it and he's like, the customer is an asshole, the bourguignon is good.
Yeah. So he asks if there's still the internship over the job opportunity in Paris.
Yeah.
And he takes it. And then afterwards, Sam and Molly have a little like celebration at the restaurant after everything's closed.
Yeah,
and
he cooks her a little meal and is basically like, "Hey, come to Paris with me."
Yeah. And then Peter walks in, definitely looking like a guy who has a gun in his waistband and is gonna kill them.
He comes in
Before he even pulls that fucking thing out, I'm like, this guy looks like he's gonna just shoot these guys.
He comes in with murderous energy, and Sam's like, "Hey, sit down. I'll pour you a glass of wine." And it's like, this guy came here to kill you. You can tell that by looking at him.
He's got a big coat on. He's trembling.
He looks like Tom Cruise when he was jumping on that couch. That is the energy he's emanating. And then my favorite part of this movie is everything from when Peter sits down at the table with them through to the end of the restaurant sequence.
Yeah.
I love this part of this movie.
Yeah.
Because he sits down and he starts talking about, he's like, yeah, I was thinking about it. And I was like, I'm next, right? And because it skipped Nathan. And so then it's going to be me and then it's going to be you, Sam. And I was thinking, like, can I actually take somebody else's life to save myself? And I decided, yes, I can. And then he's talking about how he like almost pushed this lady in front of a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And we see like a flashback to that. It's really well done. And this is a moment where I'm like, oh, this is like some of the best any of these movies have ever been.
Yeah, it's like sort of good.
Yeah, it's kind of good.
It's almost good.
Yeah.
And I like there's a version of these that I feel like you give Final Destination to like a J horror director.
Oh yeah.
And they make it very dark and serious and disturbing.
Yeah.
And like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And this almost crosses into the territory where it's like sort of serious enough that it's actually disturbing, right? Because it gets like really psychological with Peter's character. And then another thing I really like about this movement of the movie, this kind of third act set piece in the restaurant, is it's like so refreshing in this franchise for there to be a villain. Mm-hmm. Because every other Final Destination movie, there's not a human antagonist. There's always like a character who's kind of an asshole who you like are happy to see die. And maybe there's like characters who butt heads or whatever, but there's never like a character who's like actively trying to kill somebody else.
Yeah, it's nice to explore a character who's like, like what if you survived this disaster and then realized that death was hunting you and your friends down, what that would do to a person.
Yeah.
It's nice that it plays around with it a bit.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that they had done even more with it.
Yeah.
But I like what we get, right?
Yeah.
So his whole like tirade ends with him just pulling out a gun and pointing it at Molly and being like, hey, so what I've decided is I don't want to kill a random person. I want to kill you because I'm pissed that you are alive and my girlfriend is dead, right? And if he kills Molly, he'll take her life because she's not on death's list because she would have survived the bridge accident anyway, right? And so like Sam turns over the table and like knocks Peter over, and then we have this great little chase sequence through the kitchen, and it's good shit. It's like very suspenseful. Peter's kind of hunting Molly with the gun. She's like hiding behind shelves in the kitchen and shit.
It sets up a lot of things that you could expect to go wrong in a kitchen-based scene in a Final Destination movie where he turns on the fryers and he turns on the burners. Even like the first scene of the restaurant earlier in the movie where nothing is happening opens with a scene of the fryers to just like throw you off because that's what these movies do. And yeah, it's like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun and cool to watch him stalk them through this restaurant and like taunt them and wave his gun around.
Yeah, he's doing like slasher villain shit.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like Billy Loomis at the end of Scream.
Yeah.
It's great. And so at one point, him and Sam, he like finds Sam and they have like a little bit of an exchange because he's not going to kill Sam because if he shoots Sam and gets Sam's life, that just puts him next on the list anyway, right? So he specifically only wants to kill Molly. And so Sam like uses that to his advantage and like attacks him, right? And we get like some pretty good fight choreo here too. This kitchen brawl between the two of them, and then eventually like Molly gets involved, and like Peter's like throwing Molly like into the counters, and like they're like tussling on the floor and like throwing haymakers and shit, and I'm like, this is actually like pretty well done action choreo. Like it really worked for me.
Yeah, it's a fun climax.
Yeah.
It's a nice alternative to just having another, big over the top death scene.
Right. Instead of doing like another mousetrap death, it's like, no, like let's actually like do something different,
Yeah.
and have like a full on like action set piece where we have like choreography. We have like this really confined environment, because it's like these narrow kitchen alleyways that they're fighting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at one point like Peter's holding Sam's head over the fryer and shit. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. And you said it's lit well.
Mhm.
They use the shadows really well. It visually looks nice.
Yeah.
And then Block shows up in silhouette and scares Molly. And then he's like, let's get out of here or whatever. And then he gets shot in the back.
Yes. And so then Peter takes Block's life, according to the logic of this movie,
Mhm.
right? So he's not on death's list anymore. And Molly's like, okay, you got what you wanted. You can just leave. And he's like, well, you also did just see me murder a federal agent, so I'm still going to shoot you with this gun.
Yeah.
And we get more fight choreo. And then this all ends with Peter Sam stabs Peter
Yeah.
with the big meat skewer. And it's like a bad CGI stab. It doesn't look great. But,
Yeah.
but like all of the rest of this sequence totally makes the CGI stab excusable, because I'm like, everything that leads up to it is awesome. I do wish the one thing where I'm like, if I could punch this up, I would have Peter's head go into the fryer, because we get teased with those fryers so much and then there's no payoff.
That would be cool.
I'm like, I really wish Sam put Peter's head in that fryer.
Yeah, yeah. And then the gun's heating up on the stove, and it fires a bullet, and it misses, and Sam's like, okay, we won.
Yeah, because I guess I got Peter's life, which was Block's life, so I have, the life of a middle-aged man. He's probably gonna, according to this logic, if the end of this movie didn't happen the way it does and he just lived the rest of Block's remaining years, he probably would have just lived to be like, because he's probably in his 20s, so he probably would have died in like his early 60s. Because this guy was considerably older than him.
Yeah, guys just die in their 60s, man.
It's true.
They just take a shit one day, and it's the last shit they ever take.
Yeah. Their heart just explodes from eating too many hot dogs. That's how I'm going out, baby. That's where death has me on his list. is my 1500th gas station hot dog.
And then you're welcome into Valhalla. I think that gets you in through to the Golden Hall. Is Odin's like, yes, this way, sir. We have hot dogs prepared for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the great big QT in the sky. Yeah, so they survived, and then we cut to a little bit later. They're getting on the plane to Paris. It's the fake out ending that every Final Destination movie has, where it's like, our romantic couple protagonists are the only ones who made it out. Surely nothing bad is about to happen. But they do it the best in this one, because it's the thing that we already spoiled, where it connects to the beginning of the first one.
Yeah, which I knew that going into this.
Yeah.
And did you go back and watch the first one afterwards, like the plane crash of the first one, to like compare?
No, I didn't.
They do a really good job recreating the set.
Cool.
And like making it work. And then there's like one shot of the Devon Sawa or whatever getting dragged off the plane.
Yeah.
That they repurpose from the original film, and they match it really well.
Yeah. I do like that shot where they try and like, make it look like the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it is just a shot from the first one where he's being dragged off yelling like, everybody has to get off this plane, you're all gonna die.
Yeah. And they reveal on the ticket the date is May 13th, 2000, and it's flight 180.
Yep.
And then the plane takes off, and he puts on his music, and Dust in the Wind starts playing.
And he's like, oh, fuck.
That one Kansas song I heard for 15 seconds before a bridge collapsed.
Yes, we're only using 15 seconds of it because we didn't actually pay Kansas to use this in the movie. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
But then the plane starts exploding. Molly gets sucked out. I think she gets cut in half by
She
the
gets
wing.
cut in half by a wing.
Yeah. And then we see Sam just get fried by the explosion, which I always like. This happens in multiple Final Destination movies. I like when we're seeing a person get barbecued in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. They do that to Devon Sawa in the first one.
Yep. Yeah. It's clearly an homage to the first one.
Yeah. Because it's the same scene from
Yes.
the first one. I like seeing them, take another crack at this scene from a different perspective,
Yeah,
too.
me too.
Just because, like, the CGI has in some ways improved.
Yeah,
and
it looks
like
better. The CGI fire in this one looks better than it did in the one that came out in 2000.
Yeah. And it doesn't quite have the same feeling as watching that, that big set in the first one get thrown around on those hydraulics and everything, but they still do stuff like the masks dropping down from the ceiling and people holding on for dear life and seats getting ripped out. It's just fun to see it again.
Yeah. I also really like the kind of dramatic music that plays under this. I didn't notice the score at a lot of points in this movie because mostly it's kind of bland. But in this last set piece with the plane, I did take note of kind of the dramatic swell of the score, and I was like, okay, this is working for me.
Yeah.
And we see a part of the plane break off and launch into the distance, right? And then we cut to Nathan at a bar, which is like a memorial service that they're having for Roy, right? And one of the guys who we've seen earlier, he's like the foreman of the warehouse guys. He's like, hey, Nathan, it's so nice of you to come. I know you and Roy had your differences. It means a lot that you're here.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, totally. And then the foreman guy is like, it's so funny because actually Roy was going to drop dead any day now. We did an autopsy for insurance purposes, and he had a enlarged blood vessel in his brain that was going to kill him any second. And Nathan's like, oh, shit.
So he could just die at any time.
And then he gets Donnie Darko'd.
Yeah. It's so funny that this piece of the plane, like the engine or whatever, this flaming hunk of wreckage from the plane crashes through the ceiling of the bar and only kills him.
It lands directly on him. It's so funny. And then in one of the cartooniest moments of this entire movie, his severed hand flies at the camera in a ball of flame.
And then we get the montage over the credits, the other deaths, and that's
yes, and AC/DC's if you want blood, you got it.
yeah, and that's Final Destination 5.
That's Final Destination 5.
Justice.
Yeah,
is Final Destination 5 the greatest movie ever made?
No, it's not. However,
and what's your ranking too?
Right. Yeah, this is an easy no for me. Because none of these movies are good. Like I said, this is the platonic ideal of a 3-star franchise. It basically never gets better than that. None of these movies, in my mind, have exceeded kind of that threshold. But 3 stars is better than halfway to 5 stars, right? So that still means I like almost all of these movies, except for the fourth one. Better than more than I dislike them, right? You throw on a Final Destination movie in my presence, I am a happy man. I like what this franchise serves up. This is one of the most median entries in this franchise for me. I think that there's moments in some of the earlier ones that outshine a lot of the lamer moments of this movie. Like the LASIK kill isn't particularly interesting or compelling to me. Compared to some of the other stuff in previous entries. But also, this movie is operating on a level that is leagues above what installment that came right before it, right? And some of the best shit in this movie is among the best shit in the entire franchise, like the whole restaurant set piece, right? So in terms of my ranking, I am going to go with number 2 at the top. I know a lot of people put 2 lower than that. A lot of Final Destination fans don't have it that high. I really like 2, and I think that the whole highway carnage set piece at the beginning of that movie is, because it is so good, kind of boosts that movie considerably. So it's taking the top spot. I have 3 at number 2, largely due to the lead of that movie being Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and she actually like makes that movie like watchable even in some of the slower moments because there's a good actress centering the whole thing.
Mhm.
5 is in the dead middle of my ranking, so it's 2, 3, 5, then 1, which 1 is low on the list, kind of because I feel like it's sort of the least interesting. And I do like it. I like Devon Sawa. I like Ali Larter in that movie. Obviously they like set up all the stuff that I like about the franchise, but I feel like they don't really play with it as much as the subsequent entries do.
Yeah, I think it has too much of a foot in the like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer
Right.
sort of realm, and then the series hadn't quite become what it was known for yet.
Exactly.
And so in retrospect, that first one just doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah, they hadn't found their footing yet. And then 4, of course, is dead
4's
last.
dead last
Yeah.
because
it sucks. It's
apparently.
bad.
Okay, cool.
David, is Final Destination 5 the greatest movie ever made?
Justice, no.
Yeah.
Like,
of course.
no, of course not.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. These are movies that I would categorize as bad, but I kind of like them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I have a ton of affection for them. To me, they are perfectly watchable, functional movies that occasionally entertain me.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like it was probably good that I didn't marathon them all this weekend, because I might be a lot more negative on this film otherwise after watching 4 of these things in a row and just being like, okay, I'm sick of 3-star or 2.5-star movies. But I think this one is better than the first one for me because some of the kills are a little bit better, and I like the mousetrap Rube Goldberg-esque machine that they use to set these up. And some of the payoffs are good. Not all of them are great, but even when they're not great, they're at least fun. I think the performances throughout are all pretty good. Like, I even think the lead is okay.
Yeah.
As far as like the edgy milquetoast white teenager lead for these teen male lead for the Final Destination series, I think he's okay. And I think some of the stuff like the set piece, the restaurant set piece at the end, and the way it connects back to the first one, I think that's all handled really well. I think Tony Todd's really good in this, and I love the way that his character pops up throughout the film. But no, it's Final Destination 5.
It's the 5th Final Destination.
It's
yeah.
It's like it's probably a good thing that we've had, a 15-year break for them to maybe put some more gas in the tank and try to change things up. I don't know that I will be running to the theater to go see Final Destination 6, but
I think technically I have to at this point.
I think so. I think you have to. I think you have to give that movie just a little bit of a box office gross. I'm interested to see how it does financially too, especially with I Know What You Did Last Summer coming out too.
Yeah.
Interested to see how audiences react to 90s and 2000s horror coming back.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
But no. I am interested to eventually watch the other ones, but I'll get to those when I get to those. But yeah, no.
Well, that's that on that.
Yeah.
David, what are we talking about next week?
We're talking about nothing next week because I have to go back to Vatican City
Oh,
to
you're right.
do a lot of poping.
You're right. What will I and my
In theory,
yeah,
if this was continuing,
right,
without
me
being elected to, if I had never been elected to the papacy,
yeah.
Actually, I'm really pissed off that you haven't been calling me your eminence throughout
I'm sorry.
this.
I keep forgetting. This is all still very new to me, Your Holiness. But what will me and your replacement, I guess?
Yes, if I was still doing this podcast and not running the Catholic Church,
yes,
you would be talking about Brian De Palma's original Mission Impossible film.
Yes, right.
The one that started it all, of course, after the TV series came out,
Right.
that everyone forgets about. Because it's summer movie season, baby.
Yep.
And the final Mission Impossible movies hitting theaters. So I was like, let's fucking watch the first one.
And I have never seen
Yeah.
any Mission Impossible
So
movie.
might as well start with the first one, I think.
Yeah.
And it's one that I have more history with than the others in the series. So that's what, again, we would be talking about. In the meantime, please tell your friends about the show, spread the word, like, rate, comment, review, subscribe.
Yeah, we probably need you to do that less because we're going to obviously get a bump. We're going to obviously get a bump from David's papacy.
Yeah.
Since you will be the most important religious figure in the Western world.
Yeah, remember to say your prayers and donate to the poor. And, support me. Wear t-shirts with my face on it and come to see me at all my Pope events. I'll be selling merch. Yeah, first thing, Pope Mobile's a monster truck now.
Hell yeah.
I told them that was my first decree as
Your
Pope.
first decree as Pope.
It's a Pope monster truck. We will see you next week. We love you so much. And as always, later dipshits.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Greatest Movie Ever Made. Please remember to leave us a rating and a review, and to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We appreciate you supporting the show and spreading the word. Tell your friends to listen, tell your enemies to listen, tell your mom to listen. If your neighbor has an unsecured Bluetooth speaker, connect to it and play an episode. You can follow us on social media at TGMEM_podcast. And if you've got a movie that you want us to talk about, send us an email at thegreatestmoviepodcast@gmail.com.